Welcome to the channel. The boys are back in town. It's a 2,000 point game between Orks and Adeptus Mechanicus. It is a cold, barren, alien world, and it is dawn. The sun is coming up, knife fighting in turn 1, and amid these alien ruins is the aftermath of a galactic confrontation, a massive fight. Imperials versus Eldar, but they have gone. They left this place months and months and months ago, and the Adeptus Mechanicus are here to plunder, to pillage the alien ruins. But the Orks found out that there was a good scrap going on this cold world, so they've turned up too, looking for a good fight, only to find the Adeptus Mechanicus are here, and so the Orks are going to have a good scrap with them. It is hammer and anvil deployment. The Orks are deploying at this table edge, and they can choose to go first, deploying first. 2 objectives down here. The Adeptus Mechanicus are deploying at this table edge, 2 objectives down here, and 2 in no man's land in the middle of the table. And it's cleanse and control. That's the game where you get 3 tactical objectives a turn every turn. And there are some large pieces of line of sight blocking terrain in the middle of the table, which I don't think are going to be that much of an issue for the Orks, because they've brought a Stompa. Let's go and have a look at these armies. This is 2,000 points of Adeptus Mechanicus. It consists of a Cult Mechanicus Battle Congregation and a Skitarii Maniple. In the Cult Mechanicus Battle Congregation is my Warlord. He's a Tech Priest Dominus with no upgrades. And I'm bringing along 2 Cataphron Destroyers with the Plasma Culverins. They're basically plasma cannons, 2 shots each, but 24-inch range. And 2 units of Destroyers with the heavy arc rifles there for lots of haywire goodness. I've got 4 units of troops in the Skitarii Maniple. There's 10 Vanguard here with a Plasma Caliber, 5 Vanguard with 2 arc rifles, 5 Vanguard with 1 Plasma Caliber, and 10 Rangers with no upgrades at all. And then the shock troops consist of a unit of infiltrators, those are Rustalkers, and a unit of infiltrators. They haven't got any upgrades either. And in the heavy slot, 2 Onager Dune Crawlers in 1 unit. One's got the Manipulator. They've both got Cognis Stubbers and the Neutron Laser, extra Cognis Stubbers. And then 3 more heavies, 3 separate units of Iron Strider Dragoons. You can bring 4 heavy in a Skitarii Maniple, so that's 4 heavy there. And 2 fast attack, 2 separate Dragoons. This is 2,000 points worth of Orks, one of the prettiest Ork armies I've ever seen, and it's a single combined arms detachment. And this is the Warlord for the army. Probably the most powerful Warlord I've ever seen. It's Mech Boss Guzgob, and he's riding around in Buzzgob's custom Stompa. Basically, that gun there and that gun there are a 7-inch strength 10 AP1 blast. He's got a single shot D in his eye and a lifter dropper, 3 big shooters, 12 hull points. Stompa, Madness, HQ, Warlord. It's very, very, very scary. And look at the grots. It's so well painted. Tom is my opponent today. Tom, you're a legend. Second HQ is a mech boy with a custom force field, and then we've got 3 units of Ard boys, and in each of the units is a knob with a power claw. 1 unit of killer cans, all with rockets. 1 unit of grot tanks. These are Forge World exclusive, very pretty, all with rockets. There's a Mega Dread, and it's a standard Mega Dread. Death Dread. Look at it, it's lovely. I've got a unit of burners rolling around in a looted wagon with a very big gun. What's the gun called?
Kill Cannon.
Kill Cannon. 2 units of Deathcopters for objective grabbing, and a Dakka Jet with extra shooters. It's not a fly boss though. No. Grot tanks only move 2d6, so sometimes they might move 2 inches, sometimes they might move 12 inches. They're very unreliable, and they're also called rolling scrap piles. Bits fall off all the time. It gives them a 5+ invulnerable save. Doesn't matter which bits get blasted off. Awesome. So I'll just pause for a second just to show you some of this paintwork. Don't you wish you had an army like this? It's Very, very nice. Great shading, great poses, great customization, and lots of armor for the Admech to destroy. Lovely. The Orks are deployed, they are going first, and Adeptus Mechanicus did not seize. And there's just a line of boys all the way along here. The burners are in their wagon. The flyer is in reserve. There's the grots. There's some death copters. Killer cans in the middle of the table. And this monstrosity looking out across the battlefield at this. None of the Adeptus Mechanicus units are in reserve, and some of them are scouted already. The infiltrators, these vanguard, these rangers scouting up. It's nighttime in turn 1, so I will be getting an amount of cover as these nasty shots come in. But deciding where to put my units when facing this thing was very critical. Tom would like to destroy all the haywire shots and the Onager Dune crawlers as quickly as he can. So I put some destroyers out on this flank here as bait, and some destroyers out on this flank as bait. My Warlord's trait is reinforced exoskeleton, so he's an Eternal Warrior, so he can take it. So he's keeping this unit of destroyers safe. I'll tank most of the wounds on him, 2+ save, 5+ in Vun, before moving up the table. And we've got Rust Orkers and all the walkers along the back line waiting to counterpunch. It's going to be a very interesting fight this. I don't know which way it's going to go. Turn 1 shooting for the Orks could be critical, could wipe out a lot of my forces, but then it is Ork shooting, right? It is Ork shooting. Everything might miss, hopefully. One more bit of housekeeping. This thing has D6 shields, counters armor 12, which you roll for at the start of the game. It doesn't recharge them, it just has D6 shields. Roll away, Tom, let's see what it gets. 3, that's okay, that's okay. 3 free shields, as well as its 12 hull points, right? So on this cold, desolate world, amidst these ancient alien ruins, it's about to kick off. Adeptus Mechanicus versus the boys. Let's go to turn 1. These are Boss Buzzgob's orders in turn 1. Kill the king, and on his command, unleash hell. Overwhelming firepower, shoot something to death. More Daka, shoot something to death. The Orks just need to kill with their guns. End of turn 1 for the Orks, and the entire war has moved forward. There's the big mech with a custom force field there, putting out his bubble to all the units around him. And all 3 units of our boys ran forward, and then everything that could shot down into the Skitarian Comp Mechanicus lines and did very little. The big blasts and the Ds from there came flying in on this unit of breaches and missed and scattered wildly and blew up one in the squadron of the Onager Dune crawlers here. So we had a death from the big gun, but that's not overwhelming firepower, that's not more Daka, because that is 1 unit. More shots from there came in this side, and then the death copters and the grot tanks fired down on this side of the table. The big gun from the big shooter there flying down into this mess. Long story short, 2 in that unit of Vanguard died, and 1 wound on my Warlord. Tanking a lot of stuff with his 2+ save, a lot of those strength 8 shots. I wouldn't have tanked them if I hadn't have got the Eternal Warrior Warlord trait. He would be dead now if I didn't have the Eternal Warrior Warlord trait. But at the end of turn 1 for the Orks, they score no objectives. Tom has ditched Kingslayer. They've killed a couple of Vanguard, killed an Onager, and that's it. I managed to weather the storm. The night time, the sun still not risen, kept a lot of my units safe. So let's go on to Comp Mechanicus, turn 1. After weathering the storm of fire from the Ork boys, the Adeptus Mechanicus orders are just to take ground, take objective 3, 2 and 6. Objective 2 is there, and I've discarded it at the end of my turn, but I have scored objective 3, which is under this one, and objective 6, which is there. and pushed my army round and up and scored first blood. This little unit of 3 Vanguard here with a plasma caliber fired at the 2 Deathcopters that were there and have wiped them out. I've got +3 ballistic skill, -2 weapon skill with my Doctrinaire imperatives this turn. But yeah, a unit of 3 did all that damage. So that's 3 points to the Adeptus Mechanicum and 0 points to the Orks at the end of turn 1. And then the rest of this firepower around here concentrated on these grot tanks. 2 of them are gone. This thing is snap firing. One of those Deathcopters is on 1 wound. I wanted to make them jink, but they've got a good cover save there, so they're not jinking. So bites out of the apple on this flank here from this shooting. Haven't committed the infiltrators yet, because there's a unit of burner boys inside that tank there which could come round and put some nice teardrop shapes on this side of the table. So quite pleased with that round of shooting. But on this side, with my haywire, with my autocannons, with this thing all firing up at boss Guzgobs, something like that. Anyway, all the shields have been stripped off of it, and that's it. That's all I did. It was the plasma culverins from here smashing into the walkers, which blew up one of them. Long story short, as the sun comes up at the end of the first turn, very little damage has been done on either side. Yes, they've lost some Deathcopters and grot tanks and a walker, but there's a lot of Orks still left. Buzzgob is fed up with the idea of killing the king and instead still wants overwhelming firepower, still wants more Dakka, still wants this mechanoid menace to be shot to death, and he's asked them to score objective 4 while they're at it, which they're sat on. The Ork advance continues and they're supported by their air power now. Those super shooters on there are AP4 and the destroyers have a 4+ save. There's going to be 9 shots coming down into them. That could be painful. In the backfield, Stompa staying still and these boys just getting closer to objective 4, which they will score this turn. The Ard boys have ran, Killer cans coming up the table, and around here the burners are out in a nice line to get as many teardrop templates as they can down on these Vanguard here. There's going to be some burnt Skitari at the end of this turn. Let's pull the trigger and see what the Orks can do. The Orks' shooting phase was brutal. Combined fire from here, washing over the destroyers. There's 1 left and he had to go to ground. So he's not firing his plasma culverin this turn. And D's and strength 10 AP1 shots came in on the Cataphrone destroyers with their haywire rounds. These are the guys who are the biggest threat to that Stompa. 2 died in this unit, 2 died in that unit, and he's fallen back. So in total, 6 destroyers, Cataphrone breaches and destroyers died this turn, and there's a big chunk out of the apple on this side of the table. But no units killed, no more Dakka, no overwhelming firepower scored. Shots down here washing over this side of the army, but it was the burners. The burners killed the unit of 3 in front and the unit of 5 behind. So many hits with those flamer templates. That's 2 units completely wiped out there. And that does score overwhelming firepower and more Dakka. And the Orks control objective 4. So they have 3 points. The Adeptus Mechanicus have 3 points. And we're going on to turn 2. High Command orders the Adeptus Mechanicus to bring that Stompa down. It's doing too much damage. I don't know if I can do that this turn. It's going to take a lot of firepower. And score any 3 objective markers and control objective 5, which I already control. So hold the line and kill the king. Let's see what they can do. In the movement phase, the Adeptus Mechanicus left flank is pretty much gone. Everything is moving around to this side, and the guy who was falling back, well, he's still falling back. Shroud's arm is in effect, +2 ballistic skill, -1 weapon skill for Doctrinaire imperatives, and the Dune Crawler has moved a lot across to score objective 3. I'm scoring objective 5 and 6, so that's going to be ascendancy, and the idea is the Cognis weaponry fire up at that flyer and the arc weaponry is going to try and hit that Stompa, and that's pretty much all the shots I can bring to bear on the left flank this turn. Around the right flank, however, it's getting a bit congested. That's one hell of a wall of death if I charge those burner boys. So the plan is to try and kill them with all the Vanguard, hopefully, maybe. And then the infiltrators should be free to charge through at another unit. Of course, if I don't kill them with all the Vanguard, I might charge them with the infiltrators. The Orks are being aggressive on my left flank, so I'm being aggressive on this flank. The Warlord moving up, he recovered a wound with his Master of Mechanism, so he's back to full health. At the end of the shooting phase, the Cognis fire from the Iron Striders fired in at that jinking flyer, which is down to 1 hull point, and the last destroyer and the Honor Dragoon Crawler took off 2 hull points off the Stomper. It's got 10 hull points left. 10 hull points left. And that was it for my attack on the left flank. The Rangers killed a boy. The Vanguard absolutely tore through that entire squad of burners there very, very easily. Lots of 6s for wounds rolled. Every 6 for a wound is a double wound, and they were gone. And my infiltrators are going to charge that tank in a second. And then down here, Rustalk was running forward, and my Warlord unit, well, there was a unit of boys there. They're not there anymore. Defilgrate and plasma cannons melted that squad to the tabletop. So some success on this side of the table. 2 units completely wiped out. Hardly any success on this side of the table. Let's see if I can make that charge. The charge was successful. The looted wagon blew up, wounding one of my infiltrators in the process. So on this flank I managed to clear away 3 units, so that was quite successful. The Admech have also scored objective 5 and D3 extra points for Ascendancy. 2 points for Ascendancy, 3 points in total. So that's 6 points to the Adeptus Mechanicus, 3 points to the Orks, and they're in charge range. We're moving on to turn 3. Buzzgob has had enough of killing stuff, now he wants to seize ground. Recon is going to be a free point at this stage. Score objective 3, which I control. Score objective 2, which the Orks control. The Orks are pushing forward. End of turn 3, movement for the Orks. The Death Dread scoring objective 2, and the Death Copters, we've already moved them flat out, move around there and then here to score objective 3. In order to score that, the Dune Crawler must die. So there's going to be some Dakka coming in from the flyer there, and some Dakka coming in from the killer cans there, hoping to pop open that Dune Crawler so that they score both of their objectives. They're going to get recon. The boys know what all the objectives are. I suppose the Stompa could join in as well, but he's turned menacingly to the left and he's looking across the table down at this blob here. 1 or 2 nice blasts. It should look very different at the bottom of turn 3. The tanks are pulling back, the little grot tanks. They were a bit too close, a bit too unsupported once all those burners and the Death Copters are buggered off. The boys in the backfield stringing out so they can move to objective 1 and 4, depending on which one pops up. And the unit of Ard boys in the middle of the table, well, that's an 8-inch charge on those Rangers if they want to have a go at them. And their Orks, I'm sure they want to have a go at them. So we're getting into that critical turn, that critical phase of the game now. 6 points to the Admech, 3 points to the Ork. They need to push back. They need to push back hard. In the Ork shooting phase, it was mission successful round this flank. The killer cans, along with the flyer, wrecked the Honor Dragoon Crawler, which means the Death Copters will score objective 3. And then the big bad gun, firing through, firing down. Well, 1 died in that unit, and 1 died in my Warlord unit, and then he failed his morale check and is falling back. Could have been much worse for me. I could have lost a lot more. The fallback stung, not as much as losing all of that unit to strength 10 fire though, or D fire. So now we've got a charge coming on. Can these boys make an 8-inch charge? One of the boys died to Overwatch and they failed their charge. Terrible. Bad news there for the Orks. But they do score all their objectives this turn. Objective 2, 3 and Recon. So it's 6 points each. We're going into Admech, turn 3. Admech objectives in turn 3. Psychological warfare, make them fail a morale, pinning or fear test, and with mob rule. That'll be tricky. Hold the line, 3 units in my table edge, none of the Orks. That's a free point, that's okay. And supremacy is going to be really, really tough. Currently they control 4 objectives and I only control 2. Need to push them off. Basically that's not going to happen, not this turn. I ditched Kingslayer from last turn. So let's go move some models around. This is the end of the movement phase for the Admech, and there's a couple of critical decisions I made this turn. And the first one is, I'm not really going to pick on the Stompa anymore. I think I'm going to pick on the rest of his army. My Haywire chap regrouped here, as did he regroup, as did they regroup. I used Incantation of the Iron Soul so I can re-roll any failed morale, pinning or fear tests, which helped. So I've regrouped across the board, but I don't really have enough anti-tank weaponry to harass the Stompa anymore. So what I have got left instead is going to pick on the cans, going to pick on the Death Dread. As for supremacy, well, the Orcs score this one and that one and this one. So I need to score 4, leaving them only scoring these 2. I don't think I'm going to be able to shove any Orcs off of 2. I don't think I'm going to be able to shove any Orcs off of 4, but I should be able to kill the Deathcopters with these guys here. They should be able to throw enough firepower into them to kill them, and then the Dragoon can run on and score objective 3. And remember, it gets +3 for its movement. So even if it rolls a 1, if I kill those, I've definitely scored objective 3. But supremacy, if the Orcs have 2 objectives, I'm going to need 3 more. So there's 1, there's 2, this guy's sat on objective 6. And the last available objective is round here. So my infiltrate, as much as I'd love to go charging into those boys and wreck them with my taser goads, they move the full 9 inches to here, and then I need a 2 or 3 inch run. Haven't really measured it yet, but 2 or 3 inches +3 for Dune Strider. I should be able to hop over and score objective 1. That's the plan anyway. I've given +1 weapon skill using Doctrina Imperatives, which will last until the end of my next turn. So if they get charged by the boys around the backfield there, I should be okay. That's the plan on scoring supremacy. So the Admech are getting tactical. The Orcs are getting angry. This is going to be another critical turn. Still don't know which way this fight is going to go. Let's move on to the shooting phase. Okay, so I managed to knock those Deathcopters out of the sky and jump round to get objective 3, but in the backfield they rolled 1 for their run, which left them 1 inch short with Dune Strider of that objective, which means I don't score supremacies. Keeping it in my hand for next turn though. Background here, the Cognis weaponry managed to knock the Flyer out of the sky. The plasma weaponry held by the Breacher that was there, the Destroyer was there, blew up the plasma culvern while it's taking shots at the killer cans, and he's dead. Arc rifles as well, and some more random shots firing in at those killer cans. Took a wound, a hull point off. But that's pretty much it. I have got 3 units within 12 inches of my deployment zone, and none of the Orcs, so that's hold the line. But I don't score supremacy. I don't score psychological warfare, despite the fire coming in from the Rangers and snap firing over there. There's 3 Orc boys left here, and they passed their morale test. So, yeah, I score 1 point. So it's 7 points to Admech, 6 points to the Orcs. We're going on to turn 4. It's turn 4 and Buzzgob is bellowing orders left, right and centre. He wants some boys to come back and hold the line, which probably isn't going to happen. He wants to kill something in the assault phase, and if he kills 3 things in the assault phase, that's D3 victory points. And he wants to grab the loot, which is on objective 2, which they currently hold anyway. So some opportunities to score some points here for the Orcs. Let's go and see what they do. So the Death Dread is staying back to score objective 2, and the Stompa's making his way round, angry, looking down at my Warlord over there. That could be very, very nasty. Hold the line. The Orks don't want to hold the line. They're not listening to Buzzgob. They are, however, swarming around towards this objective to try and stop the Infiltrator scoring it with Supremacy next turn. So that's tactics, that is. And as for making a successful charge, well, the Killer Cans are going to come up here this turn, no doubt, and smash into those Rangers, probably eat the Overwatch, so that the Knob with his claw and his remaining 2 boys can get round from the left flank. It'll be a pincer movement there. I don't expect the Rangers to be stood on that castle, stood on that alien ruin at the end of this turn. Firepower from the tanks, firepower from this thing. Shot down into my Warlord's unit, and with some looking out, sir, both of the destroyers that he was with are dead, and he's on 1 wound left. If it wasn't for that Eternal Warrior, that reinforced exoskeleton Warlord trait, my Warlord would have been slayed 5 times over then. But he's still alive, and he passed his leadership test. Unlike the Rangers who were on this objective, the Killer Cans failed the charge. They don't have here we go, it was miserable. And then the boys managed to make their charge. They killed 3 of the Rangers. The Rangers killed none back. And then I failed my sweep and advance test. I rolled a 1. So even with Ork Initiative 2, that unit of 3 boys just went through all 10 of those Rangers. So that's a successful charge. The Orks also score objective 2, and that's all they pretty much did this turn, but that was enough, believe me. It is 8 points to the Orks, 7 points to the Admech, and we're going on to Admech turn 4. So last turn I ditched psychological warfare. I've got behind enemy lines, I've got to get within 12 inches of a board edge, tough. Supremacy, tough. Score twice as many objectives as him, and score objective 6, which I do currently control. The Iron Striders and the Ruststalkers are moving up to try and get behind enemy lines. And Supremacy, the idea is these guys go wheeling into them, kill them, consolidate that way. Easy, huh? And these guys, they've got their mine scramble grenades, campus haywire, go against the grot tanks and kill them too, because there's 2 units holding that objective. Backing them up firepower-wise is these Iron Striders, which are in range and can see the tanks. My Warlord's joined this unit and is going to fire up at these Orks. The Iron Strider is going to charge into those Orks, and that will free up that objective. So the Orks won't control that one, won't control that one, and then haywire fire from here and there, and from autocannon fire there into this thing, plus that charging in, and the Orks won't control that one either. And the Stompa is about ½ an inch away from objective 4. If all those things pull out the back, the Orks won't control any objectives, and I'll get Supremacy as well, because I'll have at least 2, this one and this one. That's the plan. What could possibly go wrong? I am 1 point behind. The only point that I'm guaranteed this turn is secure objective 6. So I need to do all I can to try and get into the lead here before it goes on to objective 5. Can't leave it into the lap of the cards. The Adeptus Mechanicus must overcome this threat. They must push these boys back. For the Emperor. Sorry, for the Omnissiah. Not the Emperor, the Omnissiah. The end of the Admech turn, the arc rifles, the stubbers came flying in, the Death Dread's dead, the Iron Strider ran forward, but not enough, not close enough to score objective 2, but at least the Orks don't score it. And then shots from this squad up here flew into the 3 Ork boys up there, killing 2 of them. 1 survived because I didn't have any line of sight to him at all, so he survived, failed his morale check, and he's down there. And that happened at the end of the shooting phase. So this guy didn't run beforehand. I didn't know he was going to fail. He was standing by ready to assault. So I don't score objective 5 either, any more than I score objective 2. But I have pushed the Orks off of these 2 objectives. Round here, the Ruststalkers smashed in to these tanks and killed them utterly. That was quite easy for them. But the infiltrators, well, they bounced off. The Ard boys here. I killed 3, and I think they put 5 wounds back on me. It was that Ard case armor which made them survive, and there's 1 left, and he's falling back, and he's never ever going to regroup. And they still score objective 1. But that is the only objective the Orcs score. No one's scoring this one, or objective 4 there currently, and I am scoring 6 and 3. So I didn't get behind enemy lines, but I do get supremacy. But with objective 6, that's 8 points each, plus D3 to the Admech. For supremacy, that's 3 more points. That could be critical. It's 11 points to the Admech, 8 points to the Orcs. Orcs may be brutal, but they're also cunning. Their objectives in turn 5 are score objective 1, 2, and 4, and all of these are in the Orc deployment zone. With some movement, with some running and screaming and charging and bellowing, they might be able to get every single one of these. The Orcs need objective 2, and the Stompa, with his Warlord trait, has moved round to score it. They need objective 4. The Mech Boy was there, and he's moved back. We've done his run move already, and he's scoring objective 4. That's 2 points. Objective 1 is here, and the Ard boys are going to charge in to those Rust Stalkers, hopefully killing them. Their objective secured anyway, so he should be within 3 inches of scoring objective 1, which will get him all 3 of those points, unless that assault goes south. And if he gets all 3, it'll be 11-11 going into my turn. And if I get bad cards, if I get bad orders, the only other thing that moves is the killer cans are coming up, and they're going to smash that Iron Strider and probably get some consolidation moves and further down into my lines. So let's shoot some stuff. This gun, this Stompa, is going to have to do some work this turn. Awesome shooting by Buzzgob that turn. He destroyed the Dragoon here, he destroyed the Iron Strider here, and he blew up one of the Iron Striders over here as well. Lifter dropper, the D finally hitting something and rolling that magic 6. Lifter dropper finally hitting something and wrecking it. And then the strength 10 AP1 guns firing in and wrecking some more stuff. And the big shooters took 1 wound off of that breacher there. So it needed to be a good round of shooting, and it was. He killed 3 vehicles in 1 turn. Much better than the Gretchen in these, the Grots in these tanks. Here, the Walkers came flying in and took 1 hull point off of that Dragoon. So many misses, so many failed armor pens. The Dragoon did nothing back, but they're locked up. The top of that alien castle there. Honestly, it's probably the best result from the Orcs. I can't shoot at them now, and they're controlling objective 5. And then round here, it was a bad day for the Orcs. He still controls objective 1, and the Knob is on 1 wound left. The Knob took out one of the Rust Stalkers, but yeah, that went badly for them. But the Knob is still standing, controlling that objective. The Orcs control objective 4 and objective 2 as well, so it's 11 points each. And I can't shoot at that one. I can't shoot at that one. I can do very little left of the Stompa. I need good orders from High Command, as we're going into the bottom of turn 5. Admech objectives. I still have behind enemy lines in my hand, so if I kill that Knob by objective 1 and push forward, I should be able to score that. Recon, that's a free point at this stage, and secure objective 4 is way out of my control, deep in Orc lines. I could possibly score 2 points. Bottom of turn 5, and this is what the table looks like. 1 more hull point taken off the Stompa, back down to 10 after it's all it will not die rolls. The Dragoon is dead. I've got +3 weapon skill, -2 ballistic skill with Doctrinaire imperatives this turn, trying to keep it alive, making sure that these killer cans smacked it on 5s, but it was enough. They've wrecked it, they've pulled it down, and they're looking hungrily at my Warlord's unit. My Warlord is now back up to full wounds with Master of Mechanisms. but I score a point for recon, and I score a point for behind enemy lines. All of their attacks were AP2 this turn, and I pulled down the Ork knob before he could strike, and then managed to get close enough to the board edge to get behind enemy lines. And the game isn't over. It's 13 points to the Admech, 11 points to the Orks, and we're going on to turn 6. Ork objectives in turn 6: kill a character, kill a vehicle, and score objective 6. 6 is deep in my lines. Objective 6 is down here, which is too far away for the Orks to get to. So he fired at it with the Stompa and missed. He also fired some shots up here with a Stompa, trying to kill a character, trying to prevent line breaker, and only killed one of the Rustalkers. After some great shooting last turn, Buzzgob missed everything this turn. And then the only other thing which was significant is the killer cans firing down into this unit, killed a bunch of them. They held morale, they're out there, sorry. And then they came wheeling in and killed 2 more. But my Warlord with his data spike and with his power axe put 2 wounds, 2 hold points back on the killer cans, wrecking one of them. So that was a drawn combat. At the end of this turn, I have a breacher, and this Iron Strider, and the unit up there running for their lives. My Warlord's unit is locked up. I've only got a couple of units left to move. But the Orks did not score Big Game Hunter, they did not assassinate, and they did not get objective 6. So that's 11 points to the Orks, 13 points to the Admech. No prisoners, just kill stuff. Secure objective 5, which is going to be tough, and secure objective 3. Okay, gentlemen, it's all over. This is the way the world ends. This Cataphront Destroyer scores objective 3, and I've got Line Breaker in the backfield with these Rustalkers, which, let's face it, are running, hightailing away from the big scary blasts from this thing, which makes the final score 15 points to 11 in favour of the Admech. The lone infiltrator is still falling back. He's next to objective 5, but falling back units do not score. And the other breacher that was there hopped up and round and got into combat with the killer cans. That Arc Claw there is a haywire attack against vehicles in close combat, and he did a number on one of them with Chant of the Remorseless Fist. I hadn't called it yet, so I called it in this turn. So he killed one, and the Data Spike and the Power Axe on my Tech Priest Dominus, he removed another one. So as we survey the battlefield at the end of that turn, this scrum here, well, my Warlord will probably break free, and with the Iron Strider in support, looking at that thing, they're going to run the hell away. As are the Rustalkers. The Rustalkers are already running the hell away. And the Orks, well, they've got this boy falling back. They've got the mech on his own, and of course, boss Buzzgob still standing, 9 hold points remaining. Yes, I won the day. Yes, I managed a moral victory. But the Ork Stompa is king of this table, king of this field. When he missed, but when he hit, boy, could he hit. He was removing units left, right and centre. So the Admech win, but only by the skin of their teeth. The Tech Priest Dominus now sounding the retreat, fleeing the field of battle away from this brute. We enjoyed that one very much. We didn't know how it was going to go until it went right down to the wire, and this is an awesome looking Ork army. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for watching, and happy wargaming.